Hey everybody, welcome. Your saltwater guide, Captain Dave Hansen. We have a phenomenal show for you today with the Coastal Worldwide guys doing some land-based fishing. You know, we had John Bretz on the show a couple weeks ago talking about the reels that these guys helped him design for this land-based shark fishing stuff that they love to do. So we'll get going with those guys in just a minute. First, though, I want you to know it's Deckhand Sports Friday. We always talk about Deckhand Sports on Friday and their phenomenal bags and the air coffin and the great waterproof backpacks and all the other products they have. And if you show up at the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Show, which is going to be in less than 2 weeks, it's 13 days now, and you show up wearing one of my shirts, you're going to get one of these Deckhand Sports hats when you swing by Dave Farron's booth over at Deckhand Sports in the hangar. Just because you have one of my shirts on, you're going to get a free hat. That's pretty cool. And if you cruise around with our stuff on, you come over to our booth. We have all kinds of free stuff for everybody who shows up wearing our gear. And now we have a big announcement. We just received our shirts. So we're going to have a bunch of shirts, bunch of different sizes. So if you don't have the gear when you get there, you can simply buy a shirt from us at the show. We're going to do a special $20. These shirts are usually $29.99. We're going to do a special $20. You buy the shirt, and we'll give you free stuff. I know it's pretty amazing. Then you can represent. But if you buy the shirt at the show, you're going to have to put it on at the show. We'll have a little area that you can change into to put the shirt on in case you're afraid of taking off your shirt in public like I am. But we got all kinds of fun stuff. The show's going to be incredible. The show schedule's out. I'm going to be speaking at 4 o'clock every day. And then Justin, Pablo, Al, and Bill Varney are all going to be speaking right after I'm speaking. We have the stage on Saturdays and Sundays for 2.5, it looks like 2 hours. Pretty amazing. And on Thursday and Friday, I'll be speaking at 4 o'clock. All by myself. We'll see how I do. I'm kind of shy, as you all know, but we'll do the best we can. And then there's also, we had a massive tragedy happen in our community. Justin Botrell the other night, driving around the harbor, hit a log and bent his propeller real bad. But then when we pulled the boat out of the water, we find out that there's a horrible electrolysis problem in the water. You guys all know Justin. He's a phenomenal member of the family. He does a great job with the live fishing shows. And he's hurting really bad right now. His bill to get the boat back in the water, no insurance will cover what happened. I don't know why. That's going to be a battle. But if you look on the screen right now, there is a QR code up there. We're starting to GoFundMe. We normally don't do this, but we're hurting. Our buddy Justin's hurting real bad, so we're trying to gather up a little bit of money. If you can help him out, that would be tremendous. We're going to talk about this for a while. We need to raise the money to help Justin. He's got 3 kids, and he's got this charter boat business. That's how he makes his living, and he needs $14,000 to get the boat back in the water on Tuesday because of this propeller electrolysis problem. It's a mess. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very, very much. I see all the comments. Thank you very much. Big day today. Captain Dave, 63 years old today. Crazy. I'm a senior citizen. Who'd have ever thought I'd live that long? Thank you, Dan, Kim, everybody, Lisa, Matt, everybody. Thank you, Brian. Thank you all. Thank you very, very much. And yeah, if you can help at all, anything will help Justin. This is all about Justin. It's all about raising money. I got nothing to do with it. Believe me, my grubby little paws aren't going to be on any of this. This is all Justin. So anything you can help him out with, just think it's his livelihood. It's how he makes a living. And Matt Ryan wanted to give away his $50 gift certificate for clothes from your saltwater guide. So what we did is we're watching all the posts and seeing everybody and all the happy faces. And what Kelly and I decided is, Robert Graper, your grandkids won the free clothes or hats or whatever you want to go on the website. You get $50 worth of product, and that's coming from Matt Ryan, courtesy of your saltwater guide. So Robert, you won. Thank you for the birthday wish. your grandkids won. Those are some phenomenal pictures you posted. Those smiles, them winding in those fish, absolutely incredible. So thank you, Robert. But hey, guys, without any further ado, let's get this show started. Let's get Blaine and Dylan in here and let's get talking about this fishing for sharks off the beach, you guys. Crazy. I watch your stuff, and I don't watch a lot of people's stuff, but I watch your guys' stuff. You guys were friends. We made some videos together at ICAST last year. We know each other. You know Elliot. But you guys put together some phenomenal things. I've had you on the show before as my guest, but let's let everybody know what's going on over there. Can we start with you, Blaine? And how did you get into this fishing thing? We got no volume on Blaine.
Where you at, Blaine?
We got no volume.
Says the host has muted my mic.
There we go.
There you go. Because you got a really bad echo.
Oh, okay. First off, happy birthday, Dave. I was not aware of that, but 63 is a big number. Congrats. But as far as my fishing journey, it all started, when I was young with my father, just doing a lot of freshwater stuff like shrimp and bass in our local neighborhood pond and everything like that. And then as far as the shark stuff goes, I met Dylan back in 2021, and we just started fishing super hard together. I mean, we were out there several times a week. And then in 2023, we created Coast Worldwide as a business and offering charters and such. So it's definitely been a journey, and it's definitely a learning curve for sure.
And who got you into fishing? Your dad took you? How old were you when you first started?
4 or 5 when I first started fishing.
And see how that's what I talk about all the time on this show. I remember going fishing the first time when I was 3 years old, and I remember it like it was today. And so that's why we talk about it so much, gang, on this show. And we talk about that saving the sand bass and everything else, because the United States of America is on a mission to stop us from fishing, which makes no sense to me at all. So it's up to all of us that are involved in fishing to get our kids out there fishing. And like Blaine was just saying, he started out, he can't remember. He thinks he was 4 or 5 years old. That's what we want. We want you all to get your kids out there fishing. It's a pretty amazing thing, right? Because here you are now, Blaine. You're still fishing. You're taking people fishing. You're introducing children. The thing that you and your partner Dylan do is pretty amazing because it's a land-based fishery. I see you guys on boats all the time, but the land-based thing's really cool for kids, right? Because they don't have to worry about getting seasick or being out for a long time on a boat. Talk about that for a couple seconds, then we'll get into your partner.
Yeah, I mean, doing it for the kids and getting them into the sport is huge. And it's not like we're on a boat. There's no age limit or anything like that. So these kids that are 3 and 4 years old, they can come out on the beach with their parents who, their parents and their siblings that are maybe a little bit older, what the trip is for when reeling in sharks by themselves and stuff. But a lot of times we get those 3 and 4 year olds that just walk up to the sand spike and they just want to crank for a few minutes. And that's what it's really about, seeing these little kids getting into the sport and loving and seeing these fish up close and personal. I mean, that's what it's really all about.
Yeah, every little kid wants to see a shark. I mean, that's a big deal. My granddaughter, this is the TV show she watches all day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Baby shark, baby shark, She's 2 years old, and that's all she wants to do is go see a shark. She wants to go to the ocean. She wants to see a shark. So what you guys are doing is a pretty spectacular thing, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because I'm all about the kids. I'm all about taking kids fishing. So we're going to get back to you in a minute, Blaine. But Dylan, how did you get into this? How old were you when you started?
Man, I'm kind of like Blaine a little bit. I can't remember the age. It's got to be around like 3 or 4 years old. It feels like since the beginning of my life, I've always wanted to do some sort of fishing. But yeah, I was fishing in my grandfather's pond for bluegill and bass. I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri. So it was, bass, crappie. And then I grew into like catfishing and then doing some bigger, like sturgeon and stuff like that. And then as soon as I found the saltwater, though, Dave, I was locked in. So that was my place.
Right. And then what made you guys team up? How'd you guys get to know each
back
other?
in 2021, under a different business, I actually hired Blaine. So he went through the whole interview process. Man, we picked on Blaine a little bit as the new guy, but he was really just a sponge for information. It was hard to find like an 18, 19-year-old kid that not only showed up on time and did what he was supposed to do and stayed off his phone, but was a sponge for information. So when everything kind of went south with the old business and we restarted Coastal Worldwide in 2023, it was an easy decision to bring Blaine on as an owner because, man, he was lapping up information. He was good at business. He was good at fishing. He was good at client relationships. And he just made this whole process 10 times easier for me and my family. Yeah.
Nice. That's a great tribute to you, Blaine. I mean, really, to be honest, right now, to try to find anybody that wants to work. I was just talking to my sponsor this morning about that, and the trade show industry that him and I both worked in, it's real hard to find anybody motivated enough to work or to actually show up on time and to, like you said, not be on their damn phone the whole time. Even though our businesses now revolve around that phone, I know exactly what you mean. So I had 2 young men that worked for me on the boat when we were running charters, and Mike Maddox and Chase. And both of those guys were like what I call my unicorns. You don't find people like that. And Blaine, you know exactly what I mean. You look at all your friends and you're like, dude, really? You guys could be the bosses of the company if you just showed up on time. My boys are 32 and 30, and they're both bosses at their jobs because they know all they got to do nowadays in America is show up on time, and you're the boss.
Baby.
For sure.
You're the boss. Show up on time. How hard is that? That's
Right.
crazy, right?
But it is what it is for sure. But yeah, no, it's nice when you find them. So hold on to your unicorns, Dave. Hold on to those guys.
Oh yeah. Now they're both running yachts, doing great, having the time of their lives, and they both know how to work. So then how did this whole fishing off the beach, taking people, and that whole concept is hard for me to comprehend. So, because I've been on yachts and sport boats and head boats my whole life. So how do you go, okay, we're going to get you to come with us on the beach and go trying to talk Dylan or Blaine, which one of you guys want to take this question?
I can walk you through the thought process at least because, I mean, when we started, I'll be flat honest with you, man. I was out of college. I was dirt poor, broke, not enjoying my career, not enjoying what I did in college, and really just looking for an avenue to get after it. Shark fishing from the beach was always something I loved, and it made sense because every time I took my family out or someone would come walk up to us and just ask some questions, man, everyone was super intrigued. And I knew the boat industry, at least in our area, is it's very heavy. It's very liquidated. There's just a lot of people in there. So I knew buying a boat wasn't an option at the time. But I wanted to share an experience. I wanted to try to make fishing my full-time living. So when we started looking into it, it really wasn't hard when we put it on paper, because if you have a place where you can bring someone to the beach, like you said, there's no seasickness. You also, if you fish for 6 hours on a boat, you have some time on the way out, you have some time on the way in. With us, the trip starts at 6 p.m., ends at midnight. We're packing up after and before, so you never lose any fishing time. You're 100% like fishing the entire time you pay for. And then, like Blaine mentioned earlier, you can bring your entire family. So a lot of the times, man, it's mom, dad, brother, sister, dad want to be there. Mom, sister could like really care less. So you might not get the whole family on a group out on the boat together, but on the beach, mom and sister can hang out, play in the sand, sit in some zero gravity chairs, be super comfortable. And then dad and son, man, they get to rock shark fishing all night. The whole family gets to be a part of the experience. And I don't know, maybe for dad, it's an easier sell to the wife to be like, hey, we can all go. This is a family. It is fishing, but it's also like we can all go together. And so that was just super easy to sell to people. And then getting to share land-based shark fishing, man, it's like a primitive style fishing. It's really truly like you're not chasing fish down. You're like on the beach in one spot, hooking anywhere from like sharks at 4 feet to like 14 foot long. And you're bringing them right there. It's a safe environment to handle them. Sharks on the boat are kind of like bad, not easy to handle. It can be kind of dangerous sometimes, but on the beach, you can bring them up, dehook them, get a nice picture with them. They're always staying in the water, so it's healthy for the sharks, and then slide them right back out. And it's a pretty incredible experience when it's all said and done, because everybody's just over the moon. They knew what they were signing up for, but they just didn't realize how crazy handling a shark in person and touching them would be. And then getting to release them with a tag in them is just like it's a whole experience that it's all encompassing in one night, 6 hours.
Right, exactly. And what I like about it, what intrigues me the most is that, like you said, on a boat, the handling of the shark on the boat normally is
Oh
bad
yeah,
for the
for
shark.
sure.
I'm not trying to take anything away from what I do for a living, but we can't jump in the water and bring that shark over to the sand and let everybody see it and then remove the hook. And I watch Blaine put his hand so close to those sharks' mouth. I watch those videos and I'm like, dude, you're
He's
amazing.
a quick guy.
You put your hand. These two guys care more about the sharks than any of you, anybody that does research for sharks. My good friend, Chris on O Search and Brett McBride, who is the shark master, they'll tell you nobody cares more about the sharks than the guys that are catching them. I watch you two guys though, and you care so much about making sure that the sharks get released unharmed. If we catch a shark on a boat, we're going to have a hard time even getting the shark up alongside the boat to do anything. We normally have to do something really horrible to the animal just to get that
Right.
hook out of his face. You guys, and Blaine, you're amazing. You jump in the water, both of you guys. And Dill, I know you probably do the same thing, Dylan, but a lot of the time I see you with the
Yeah.
people, rod and the harness, and then Blaine's getting in the water with this shark,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Blaine's going down there, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing to watch what you guys are doing and how you're doing it. And the gang, there's a lot of you jumping on here that just got here. It's Coastal Worldwide. These guys do a land-based shark fishing, but there's a lot of bycatch. There's all kinds of other stuff they're catching too, not just sharks. It's just a fun time to be with the family down on the beach, down on the water. I see the kids and stuff, and I know that kids are running around and having a good time and playing on the beach. You can't do that on a
Yeah, no,
boat.
free range for sure. Yeah, and then like you said about the health of the sharks, we do get some like a little backlash every once in a while about the sharks, but nobody's more investing or more invested in keeping the shark population high than us. Because if we go out and kill all the sharks, man, we're gonna be back at a day job. So it's not only a good moral thing to do, but we got to keep those guys around and keep them healthy and keep them safe because we got to keep catching more of them. So
All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just reading
yeah,
what
you're
Elliot
fine.
posted, but no, I totally understand what you're saying because I did watch a lot of your videos because that is probably the number one thing I get the most crap for is when we do take a shark and go take it
Yeah.
home to eat it and the sustainability and all that stuff. And they got me so confused. I don't know if I should take a big shark or a little
I
shark. And
mean, we keep sharks too,
I,
man. You
I,
can
I
keep
don't
black
know.
tips here in Florida, and obviously, I mean, it's like a two-edged sword a little bit because guys who are in the industry fishing, man, we know that you're never going to put a dent in the shark population. We're never going to hurt the shark population here in Florida for sure. It's overrun, but from the outside perspective, it can look like I don't know, we're hurting the shark population or we might be damaging these guys, and it's just not the truth. But if you're worried about the shark population being damaged, we're not damaging them like personally. And then, from the inside industry guys, even if we were keeping every single shark, which we're not, you wouldn't hurt them. I mean, there's just no way.
And we're going to get back into that in just a second. But one of our big sponsors
Yeah,
and
baby.
your sponsors, Deckhand Sports, we're going to show you a cool little video real quick about there it is. That's the air coffin, gang. That's the new product from Deckhand Sports. You're going to get to see this over at the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Festival. And check this out. He takes that out of that little bag, pumps it up, bam, it becomes an ice chest to put your fish in right there on your center console underneath your seat. You're going to get to see him heave some nice yellowtail into that air coffin. It's a phenomenal product because of the fact that it's so easy to take care of on your boat. It's not a big giant bag. A lot of us don't have place for that big giant bag. The air coffin fits in some pretty spectacular spots on your boat. And then you got the accessibility of it to go in and out of that bag, to take it from your car down to your boat, take it out, fish for the day, get back in, clean it up a little bit, put it back in the bag, throw it back in your car, and you're ready to go again. plus all the other products. As we jump out of this commercial in a minute, we'll show you Dylan's got his dry bag ready to go for his trip. These guys got a trip tomorrow. He's got his dry bag with him right now, all ready to go. And a lot of the people that are watching the show right now have that dry bag for taking home their lobsters. And that dry bag, you have it right
man.
there with you,
We're
right,
going on
Dylan?
a tuna trip tomorrow, so we never leave without our Deckhand Sports bag. This is a no-brainer, man. We travel to Mexico. We've been to Ecuador. This thing's been all over the world with us, and in some pretty hasty conditions. If you roll this thing up like this, spare clothes are like so important, especially on like 2, 3, 4-day trips. And we've been in like terrible rain and waves coming over the bow, man. And I can unroll that thing, get a fresh pair of clothes on after the storm's over, and be fine. But if my clothes got wet 3 days, I might not be a very happy camper on day 3. So I love mine. Absolutely love my bag.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal product. Dave Farron went the distance. He knows. He fishes. He's a fisherman. He knows what he's doing. We're going to throw the QR code up there, gang. You save 15% on the Deckhand Sports products, all the different products they have. I was just up in Southern California fishing with my good friend Lisa and Justin on his boat, and the Stanleys and Brent and Dwayne and Darren. And I'll tell you what, everybody had their Deckhand Sports dry bags with them. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy how everybody just jumped onto this product because, like Dylan was saying, it is a no-brainer, gang. If you're going to be in a wet situation, which we are when we're fishing, and to have stuff dry, especially your phone or your camera, or like Dylan said, when you're all done, to put on some dry clothes for the drive home, it's pretty nice feeling. So that dry bag is a go-to for sure. And yeah, Lisa, you got the big giant one. I don't even know how you carry that thing, but she's got everything she needs in there, from her purse to her phone to all of her product that she has to have. Just like my beautiful wife, Kelly, they got to have their product, and it better be dry. So that's a phenomenal product. But let's get back into this shark thing. You guys know for a fact that there's way more sharks now than there were 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So the conservation efforts that are going on down in Florida and the Gulf of America is pretty, you like that? Gulf of America? Yeah, baby. Woo. Yeah. It's pretty amazing how the sharks came back so quickly by just taking away that commercial pressure, right?
Incredible.
Go ahead, Blaine. You get to talk for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, the sandbar shark population alone has been absolutely insane. I mean, you go back from data from the 80s and stuff, which some of it may have been fabricated, some of it may have not been. But if you look at the numbers on sheets, I mean, there were very few sandbar sharks. And now snapper fishing and stuff like that, all these people are misidentifying them as bull sharks on the reef. But, I mean, you show up to a reef during the summertime here, and you look down as you're bringing up a snapper, there's at least 4 or 5 sandbar sharks chasing that snapper up. I mean, their population is astronomical for sure.
And really, at the end of the day, with a fishing pole, it's hard for people to understand, but we're never going to have an effect on the population of fish, period, let alone sharks. But that's the big fantasy that they want to keep feeding you, gang. But when you guys watch what Dylan and Blaine are doing, and you watch their YouTube and their Instagram and their Facebook videos, you're just going to go, wow, they carry. The amount of caring that you guys do is second to none. Plus you get to the people. Here's the really cool thing that we can't allow them to do on a boat. We can't allow them to get in the water with the shark and rub their sides and feel their dorsal fin and grab the tail. And like the way you guys do it, once Blaine removes that hook, you're kind of taking that shark by the tail and you're maneuvering him through the little waves and you're pushing him back out in the water. You watch, you guys have children doing it. You have moms and dads doing it. That is the really cool thing about what you're doing. Blaine, talk about that for a minute, because you're usually the first guy in the water.
Yeah, the hands-on experience for clients is definitely super cool for them. We have some people that are not super game to be up and close and personal with the shark, but we have a lot of people that are just ready to get in there. And, you know, as long as we're by the head, you know, when I'm dehooking and stuff, and the pictures are being snapped and everything like that, they can stay back near the tail. They can feel everything. They can get their pictures. And then we do offer them, if they want to take it out with us, they can grab on the shark's tail with us and pull it backwards. And I find that for a lot of clients is the coolest part of the fishing experience in general. Like, of course, reeling in the shark, pulling drag, that's a lot of fun. But once they get hands on the animal, that's when I see their eyes really light up. And it's just super cool experience.
And gang, if you can think about that as a child, a little kid being there with you guys on the beach, getting to touch the shark and be there. Yeah, mom and dad or the kids will wind on it a little bit. You guys let them wind on it a little bit, but then when it comes to that shark, and I know what you mean by most people don't want to be in the water with it until they see you guys doing it. I've watched your videos and I've seen the people go, "Oh, wait a minute, before you let me get in there and touch it," because they find out that shark, he's not really there to eat them, but the fantasy that we've been fed our whole lives from the lion media is that shark wants to eat you. So, you got to break them of that. And you guys do a phenomenal job of that. It's so fun to watch what you're doing and how you guys are putting this whole thing together. And to think, really, you guys have only been doing it full time for like 3 years, right?
Yeah, I've been doing it full time for 6.5 years now. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Time flies.
But Blaine, since
Okay.
2021, he was in. Yep. So, and then I've been shark fishing for about 10 years. It's incredible.
It's an incredible fishery to think 90% of the time you guys are successful when you take people down to fish on the beach,
dude,
right?
spring break is right around the corner, and I'll tell you, March and April is some of the most lights out shark fishing. It's incredible. It's like there's so many sharks that show up in the spring, and it's spring is the family time to come for sure. There's so many sharks around. It's awesome.
Think about that, gang. Spring break, your kids, your teenage kids are down at the beach swimming in the water. They're blown away when they start seeing these guys pulling sharks right where they're all hanging out, partying, drinking and swimming and shark fishing all at the same time. Pretty amazing. I got a few people have questions for us, and we'll get to some of those questions as we go along here, gang. But when you're out there, how often does somebody want to take the shark?
Ooh, what do you think, Blaine? I'd say probably like 30%, 40% of the black tip sharks we catch, clients will want to keep them. That's normally one of the questionnaires we have pre-trip is, do you guys want to harvest any sharks? Black tip shark is about the only shark we catch that you can keep and it's actually good. Now, we can keep a ton of sharks here in Florida, but like bull sharks don't taste very good. It's also just a ton of meat that's kind of wasteful. But as far as the black tip sharks go, yeah, we'll have clients that we'll actually clean them right there on the beach for them. They can take the steaks right home. We don't charge anything for cleaning them. So we can whack them up right there on the beach. And then you get to have not only the experience that we've been talking about, but then you get to go back and you get to eat a shark. And that's pretty cool too.
That's way cool. How spectacular is that? Think about that, gang. And you guys are in Pensacola?
So we're in Pensacola, Florida. We service anywhere from Navarre Beach to Perdido Key, Florida. Yep.
Yes, just so, and then we're going to get into what it's all about and what you got to bring and all that for a minute. But normally I don't answer these questions, but this guy's relentless and he just keeps going and going. He's going to get one last comment and then we're going to say goodbye to him forever. But threshold moment, let me explain something to you. You're sitting in front of your computer right now watching us, or you're on your telephone. You probably microwaved your coffee this morning. You have more radioactive things going into your body than you'll ever have by eating a fish. What the best thing for you to do is turn off the news, or if you're that scared, you need to go maybe to Mars or Jupiter or Venus or someplace like that, because you're not going to, all that stuff that you hear about on CNN, all that stuff's crazy, but you guys, you're not going to get away from it. There's radioactivity in every single thing you touch every single day. So if you're afraid of food, then I'm sorry, you got a big problem. There's more radioactivity in the chicken you ate than in the shark these guys are catching on the beach. And I'm just telling you from true, honest to God experience, I never, ever go to a restaurant with a Geiger counter. So you're out of your minds and it's okay. And I'm sure you're having a hard time with the president right now. I can pretty much guarantee you by reading this. I can guarantee you're having a real rough time, and the next 3.5 years are going to be gnarly for you, my friend. Just gnarly. But we can all say goodbye to him. That's it. Goodbye. All right. So back to reality, back to having fun. So if I'm going to Blaine, I'm going to take my family. I want to come down there and go fishing with you. What do I need to bring?
We definitely recommend.
Whoops, we lost him.
No,
Okay,
like
Dylan.
Blaine was saying, though, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You don't have to bring too much, but we clients can bring waters. As long as there's no glass, you can bring your own alcohol to the beach. And then any sort of like, if the conditions are going to be a little bit chilly, bring a jacket, bring something like that. If conditions are maybe going to be a little bit wet, rain jacket. But I mean, we provide everything from the shark fishing gear, the baits. Obviously, we deploy all the baits ourselves, and then we actually bring zero gravity chairs for everybody. Because, you know, those things like recline back. So we want everybody being super comfortable on the beach and not having to bring a lot of stuff down. But yeah, coolers full of drinks and snacks and maybe a little bit of clothes depending on the weather. But after that, just show up, you know.
And as far as bringing gear and all that, you don't want to do that, gang. These guys already have everything. You don't want to bring maybe you have your very favorite fishing pole that you think you need to have, but you're going to get there and you're going to go, oh, yeah, that doesn't work for on the beach. It's a different fishery if you've never done it before. And if you're a surf fisherman fishing with your long spinning rod and doing that, or if you're a surf fisherman in Southern California, this is not what we're doing here. This is not what it's about. Show us some of your gear.
Yeah, I'll grab one real quick. I knew you were about to ask. Let me see if I can grab one out without letting the dog out. But yeah, I've got a smaller side here, a 50 wide. Hold on, Jim. Try not to let the dog escape. Here, stay back a little bit. Oh my gosh. But yeah, man, it's we get that question a lot actually. People showing up asking about like bringing their own gear, and we'll put some surf fishing rods out. You know, we've got pompano and redfish in here, but here's kind of an idea. This is my wife's, so I've got my wife set up with a little custom combo here. You know how it is, Dave. She wanted the pink reel. But we've got a 50 wide here with 130-pound braid, and then we run anywhere from 35 to 55 pounds of drag there. So these guys are kind of loaded up.
Okay. And then John Brett said you developed that other reel, that 50 wide without the crossbar with the hammerhead on the side
so
of it.
this reel's been sitting in the house for, I think, 2.5 years. My wife hasn't been shark fishing in a while, so we just had a kid, so she's been off the beach. But yeah, I don't have it in here because we're not at the office. But yeah, we just got 6 of the brand new Okuma 80s. So those things are awesome. We've had them for 9 months so far. We've landed a couple big hammers on them. We landed a great white just a couple weeks ago with them, 12-foot tiger sharks, and then multiple 10-foot dusky sharks. So those new Max, man, are crazy. Shark Series reels, longer handle arm. And I was just glad that Okuma not only made a reel that we love, we all love the Makairas, but for Okuma to look at the shark fishing industry and go, yeah, we're going to invest in you guys. Was incredible. And then this summer, they're coming out with another Shark Series, and it's going to be exciting as well. So it's only continuing with Okuma, man.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about being pro staff with Okuma is they listen to what we say. Where a lot of the other companies are like, here's a couple reels, go have fun, but they don't listen. They don't hear the feedback. John Bretza and the gang over at Okuma, Dave Brown and everybody, they listen to what you guys say. They listen to what Todd Manser says. They want to make their products perfect for what we're trying to accomplish. And when he put together those 50 wides with the black and with the hammerhead on the side and not having that crossbar across the top, it is what a great product to do what you do. Now, we've had a couple of people ask questions. What about a drone? Do you use a drone to deploy the bait?
The drone conversation's a little bit of a thing in the shark fishing world, but I'll touch on it for sure. We don't use a drone. For us, it doesn't make sense. We probably fish 200 to 250 days a year, depending on weather. So for a normal client night, if we showed up with a drone and a couple batteries and we had any failures, we'd still have to bring a kayak just in case or to go retrieve the drone. So it's just cheaper and more efficient for us to use a kayak to get the baits out. Sometimes, even though the drones can carry like 5-6 pounds, Some people are kind of blown away, but some of the baits are 15, 20, 30 pounds that we're using. So the drone won't be able to carry them. And then to top that off, a lot of the times we're fishing here in Pensacola. We're close to the Navy base. We're in national seashores where drones aren't technically legal. And since we're like an actual company that is like could get ticketed and stuff like that, we stick right to the regulations as far as the FAA goes, flying drones. So I'm not a big drone advocate for shark fishing. It does make it a little bit easier, but sometimes it fast tracks people really fast into the sport, and they don't necessarily have the means to shark fish yet, but all of a sudden they're taking a 6-pound bait with the drone really far out. And we've had some situations here in Florida, like last year, a great white shark washed up and a guy was not able to kayak in 7-foot waves, but he was able to drone a bait out. And then when he went to release a 15-foot, 2,700-pound white shark, he couldn't release the shark in those conditions. And so it allowed him to get a bait out when normally you shouldn't be fishing. So it's a twofold thing. If you use it appropriately, it's just like anything else, right? There's a little bit of common sense there. If it's used appropriately, it's completely fine. But used the wrong ways can be bad. So.
Well, here's my thought. I've been asked this many, many times, fishing offshore for bluefin and kelp patty fishing and everything. Drone works really good on YouTube.
That's it.
But it doesn't work. It doesn't apply to fishing unless it happens to be a day where it's flat glass. You have 30 miles visibility and there's not a breath of wind and there's not a ripple on the water. Then that drone will work flawless. In my 50 plus years of fishing, I've seen that condition twice.
Oh, I'm sure over there, man.
So the drone doesn't work. I mean, I know you guys saw somebody use it on YouTube once and it worked really good for them, but it doesn't work. It doesn't apply for us and what we do. And I guarantee you it doesn't apply for what these guys do. And your bait,
Yeah.
I see your guys' bait. Your bait's 5, 6, 10, 12 pounds. To think of a drone, what kind of a drone's going to be able to drag that bait out? It's not going to happen. So talk about, Blaine, how you guys get your bait out there, because it's pretty cool. It's pretty bad when you think about it. For guys that are scared of sharks, these guys are paddling out.
Yeah,
talk
so
about it.
There's definitely no drone on the market right now, at least, that can carry the payload that we put out. So what we do is we put the bait in the back of the kayak and just take our spider weights that anchor into the sand. We just clip them to the kayak and we're on our way. I mean, we're going several hundred yards out there and just get out there, undo the weight and everything like that, grab your bait and just kind of toss it overboard and head back to the beach, grab the other one.
No, it's pretty cool the way you do it. It's pretty spectacular. And you think the guy's paddling right out there where that shark's at, and he's dropping that bait in the water on your kayak. And a lot of you that are afraid of sharks, that's kind of a weird deal to think that he's actually doing that and he's going out there like that. And then my friend Lisa, she's super involved in my followers. She's like a superstar follower. She wants to know, what are you guys using for bait?
So depends on the time of year, Miss Lisa, but in the wintertime, we primarily use a lot of like tuna heads. So blackfin tuna and yellowfin tuna, sometimes like swordfish or barracuda, but it's really because we don't get a lot of blue crabs in the wintertime. It gets cold and crabs can get on your bait and tear them apart. In the summertime, if I put like a big tuna head out there, it would last for like 2 hours and then it would come back like skin and bones. So it'd come back nothing. So in the summertime, we use a lot of stingray baits. So we'll use southern stingray or cow nose stingray and stuff like that. So we switch around a little bit.
I never even thought of that. So the crabs are all over
tough,
you,
man. Summertime's tough. You're changing baits a bunch. We call them ray baits or fish baits, and that's normally the two categories. And obviously there's there's a bunch of different rays we can use. There's a bunch of different fish baits we can use, but in the summertime, we normally stick away from your fish baits. Yep.
Okay, I got a question for you from me. When you running that bait out there, Blaine, are you guys using a bobber type rig? You guys a buoy to keep that thing off the bottom, or is the bait you just drop it? It's laying on the bottom.
Laying on the bottom. We use like a Sputnik weight about 8 foot up from the bait, and it just sinks down there and sticks in the sand and prevents that bait from moving left or right or anything like that. But yes, that is primarily everything's from the bottom, and that's why the blue crabs can get to it so well.
We've used float rigs before. We use them in the wintertime here. The only problem is in the summertime, there's so many blacktip sharks that cruise like right below the surface kind of deal. And so that float rig in the
Right.
summertime, it does keep the bait off the bottom. So it kind of cures our blue crab problem. But those black tips cruise and they run into the braid all the time. And it's like 200-pound braid, instant break if they run into it. It's like insane. Yeah, so we run into so many
Really?
more cutoffs in the summertime. We've tried it, man. I want to so bad to find a solution, but we might have to fly a kite, but we don't
So
get north winds. So
right. So I would kind of go, okay, so if you floated the bait though, do you got a lot of current there?
no,
Sometimes.
not really.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
Sometimes it
not
depends on what the weather's like. If we've got a lot of storm systems in the area, it's not quite raining right where you are, but the waves are pretty unfriendly, then we get some pretty bad current. But most of the time, the weather here is, as far as wave height and current goes, it's pretty mild to calm.
It's pretty flat most of the time because I watch your videos. I don't see a lot of wave action, but I was thinking when you were talking about the crabs, okay, we want to float the bait, but obviously we don't want to float the bait because of the
you
black
can.
tip.
It just
So
leaves a lot in the
that
water.
that away. Then here's another question. This is just me. How much problems do you have with people swimming at the beach?
The time of day that we set up, we don't have a problem because we get to the beach, probably around 4 o'clock to start setting up for a trip. We kind of got to go claim a spot kind of near the water. And then, we wait until 5:30 for people to clear out of the water before we even start yakking baits out. So, I mean, typically there are minimal people in the water, if any at all.
Okay, and that's perfect segue into and Mike Lewis is like my brother. Mike Lewis wants to know what kind of leaders are, and then we're going to go into my next question. Well, what kind of leaders are
Yeah, a
we using?
typical like deployment leader is 800-pound mono. It's about 40 feet of that, and then 8 foot of coated cable around 800 pounds or so to a 20-aught, 24-aught circle hook. Yeah,
So you're
they're
not
also
messing
not leader
around
guys, so you can get away with a lot.
because you're fishing in the
Yep.
dark. So basically, there's no daytime doing this. It's
In
all
the wintertime,
nighttime.
we offer like 24-hour, 36-hour, and 48-hour trips. Just because you were talking about the swimmers, we hardly get, like in our area right now, you see like maybe 10 people on the beach in a 24-hour period. Whereas in the summertime, we have to stick to the evenings because we don't want to run baits around swimmers, not because of sharks, but because 200-pound braid and rubbing on people is not a good idea. So summertime, only in the evenings into the night. And then the wintertime, we can daytime fish. And yeah, even in the daytime, they're really not leader shy. It's super weird, but yeah, they'll pick up a bait with 800-pound cable and no problem.
All right, and then my good buddy Brent wants to know: have either one of you ever been
Never.
bit?
Never, man. That question it pops up a lot, but yeah, never been bit, man.
Oh, thank gosh, because you're putting your hand right there in their mouth, Blaine, all the time. I think that would change the way you approach it
For
if you
sure.
had been bit. But if you watch these guys, and Lisa, I want all of you to follow these guys. That's why we bring them on the show, so we can share viewers. It helps both of us out tremendously to switch back and forth. And I know you got a lot of your guys watching us right now. We do this podcast 6 days a week live. It's pretty amazing, and it's all about fishing, and we bring in the biggest names in the industry, and these guys are big names in the industry for me. I really love what you guys do. I want you to go watch what they're doing and see what it's all about. So yeah, Lisa, go follow them and watch what's going on. Justin took us out shark fishing the other day. We caught a thresher in the harbor. I don't know if you saw any of that.
That's
It was
awesome.
pretty cool. We do a lot of shark fishing out here on the West Coast, but it's
No.
not the same. We're not in the water with these things. It is a totally different fishery, gang. And if you haven't watched it before, I definitely suggest going and watching it. But do you have a lot of pushback by tourists and stuff that really don't know what's going on, and they come down there at the night and they see you fishing and they think you're I'm just asking.
I mean, here and there, I think we talk about it every once in a while. I think Blaine and I were just talking about it today. I think in a given summertime, we'll maybe have one or two like run-ins where someone's like making a big deal about it. Every single night, tons of questions. So there's always questions, and some of the questions go to like, "Oh, you're shark fishing. Is that dangerous? Like, should I be worried?" And really, the most common sense way I explain to people is like, if you're worried, sharks are obviously always there. But if you're worried about us drawing in sharks, we're not drawing in sharks. But if anything, if we catch the sharks that are already there and then release them, they're not going to stick around. So if anything, my little pitch is always funny. I think I'm actually making the beach a little bit more safer for you. So maybe that's the case.
Yeah, because sharks aren't dumb, gang. They're like a dog. They're like, I don't want to hang out here
Doesn't seem
anymore.
like
That
fun to me,
hurt.
so I'm out.
I don't
Yep.
want.
But yeah, somebody asked a question too. We're on
And
Instagram. Everything's on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. But yeah.
yeah, these guys, you just type in coastal worldwide and you won't have a problem finding them, Brent. And yeah, and Brent is a phenomenal taxidermist. He taxidermies sharks, he taxidermies lobsters. He does a great job. You guys should watch him someday. Go check out his shows. He does them at night. Seawolf 13. It's a cool little
That's
deal he's
crazy.
got going on. He's got that thresher shark tail right now. He's going to do some magical stuff with that, but he does a lot of really cool stuff with lobsters. I do you guys catch makos there?
They show up from time to time. We get them in the wintertime. I got one mako, like 8 foot, back in 2020. There was one caught last week by a different shark fishing crew, but they are here. But for some reason, the last 3 years, Dave, in the wintertime, we've had an insane population of white sharks show up. I know for California, that's not weird for you guys, but for us, white sharks in Florida is weird, and it's happening. So I think the white sharks are pushing our mako shark population out on the beach because we don't see them as much.
Yeah, they like
Yeah,
to eat those.
that's what we've
That's
talked
like
about, man.
they love eating those. But yeah, I wanted to save the last 15, 20 minutes for the white shark because that's the shark everybody loves. That's the shark everybody wants to see. And Blaine, a couple years ago, you got to see and catch your first one, which was a pretty big event on Coastal Worldwide. And now I hear you guys just got another one the other day, right?
Just a couple weeks ago now was our third great white shark that we caught in the past 3 years.
Yeah, so talk about the first one for a minute, and we'll get into all three of them. But what a spectacular event for that lucky person that was fishing that day, right?
We had some family friends out in Orange Beach, Alabama, and white shark was definitely not in the cards for us as we thought. But you know, we were out there for about 12 hours, and we were 8 hours in, and we'd already caught a few sharks, and the night was kind of winding down. You were kind of thinking like, hey, let's all go home. Let's get some decent sleep tonight and everything like that. Because a couple people had already gone up to the condo. And next thing we know, the rod just starts going off. Dylan's coming back in from the kayak. It's a little hectic at the moment. And then Dylan gets back from the kayak right as I set the hook. And it just starts peeling line off the reel. I mean, I have never seen a reel explode like that before. But it was absolutely insanity. And then, you know, we were about 20 minutes into the fight. Didn't really feel much going on. So we were like, hey, we're going to speed up this fight up a little bit. Dylan got in the harness, fought it for a little while. Everybody kind of took their turn, just cranking until they were tired. And that fish finally hit the beach. And I've never seen a superstar in person, but that was my superstar. I mean, it was the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. And just being up close with that animal that is just this apex predator of the ocean. And I grew up watching Shark Week just like everybody else, and was expecting all craziness to break loose, and it just absolutely was not the case. It's probably one of the most relaxed, chill sharks we've ever put our hands on, and they really are beautiful creatures.
That's what I was going to say. The apex predator of the ocean. When you guys brought that thing up on it seemed like he was in connection with you, and he knew you were going to let him go, Blaine. It was pretty spectacular to watch that footage. It was all encompassing. I was like, you would think, like you said, you would think it would have been all hell broken loose, but no, it wasn't.
It was crazy. That was a crazy experience.
And to get to put your hands on that animal, how weird was that?
It was super surreal. I don't think it really set in for Dylan or I both until probably a couple of days later that we were up and close and personal with a shark like that.
Yeah, Dylan, talk about that. You've been in this industry a little bit longer than Blaine. What was that experience like for you?
I mean, anyone who's in the fishing industry for a long time, especially saltwater, it's one of those, like, and I tell clients all the time, hey, at any given day, you never know what happens. Each night is different, you know, in the next 10 seconds, a rod could go off and it could be a fish that changes your entire life. And I probably said it at that night too. But man, I had no clue. I mean, like Blaine said, it was March. White sharks was not in the cards at all. And when Blaine grabbed leader and called white shark, I love Blaine. I almost didn't believe him, man. I was just like, what are you talking about, man? We're in Alabama. This is not California. Like, there's not white sharks here. And yeah, when he turned it over, I think we just both went into autopilot mode a little bit. Like, we've handled hundreds and thousands of sharks before. So as soon as we got our hands on, you start working, you're doing the thing, you release it. You're like, that was a great white. There's some freak out moments. There's some talk with the clients. And I think I said something kind of goofy because I said something like, I don't think you guys understand what just happened. I don't think you understand like how cool this is. And the guy who was saying that at that time also had no idea what just happened because it took days to set in. Like every morning I woke up, I was like, that happened. That's real life, man. That's insane. So it takes some time to set in stuff like that. It was surreal for sure.
Yeah, and that's the magical thing about throwing your line in the water. You
Yeah.
have no idea what's going to
Come on,
bite the
baby.
hook.
That's why we do it.
And then Lisa asked another question. What is the average fight time of a shark when you guys hook it to when you land it? And I know there's a lot of editing going on with what you're doing.
I mean, I would say
that is a crazy fight going on the beach, gang. When you watch these guys, that shark's dragging these guys down the beach. It's pretty cool to watch you guys fight these things, and you're strapped. The thing that scares the heck out of me, because I've never done it, is seeing you guys hook a tourist into the harness, and there you go, and that shark's dragging them around the beach. I know you're hanging on to them a lot of the time.
Now if we put a client in the harness, he gets a front spotter and a back spotter, so they're never going anywhere. But when Blaine and I are personal fishing, most of the time it's like, hey, you know what you're doing, you know how to work your drag, so don't let them drag you in. But the clients are always safe perfectly. But as far as the fight time goes, I would say an average fight time is like 7 to 10 minutes on most sharks. We're using heavy line, heavy drag to get them in as quick as possible so they don't get tired. But as soon as you step into like the 10-foot class, it goes up to probably 25 to like 35 minutes. And I would say over the course of a year, like most 12-foot sharks, if we run into like 6 or 7 12-foot sharks, those fights go like 30 to 45 minutes. But we never really let a fight time go over an hour. That's not ideal for sure. And so that's why we have the gear we have.
Right. There's no messing around. Now, the shark that intrigues me the most, I hear bull shark, white shark, all that stuff, that tiger shark. That's the fish. For me, that is the top of the list of a shark that I want to see personally. I would love to see that animal. I've seen him in the ocean, but I'd love to see that animal on the beach. What a beautiful animal, right? And that big flat head.
They're my favorite. Tiger sharks, I mean, don't get me wrong, the white shark thing is super sick. It's awesome. It performs well on social media. But for myself, tiger sharks have that squared off head, like you said. They've got that perfect pattern. Their tails are they're just so symmetrical, and the fish are absolutely incredible. I think a month ago now, I actually got to catch my personal biggest tiger. It was a little over 12 foot, but the girth on it had to be like 6.5 foot long. We got some underwater footage of it, releasing it, and it's just insane. The fights are under control. They're kind of like white sharks. They're super easy to handle. In the summertime, we've actually got some pretty cool footage of like swimming with them. So you can just kind of, to make sure that they're still got the strength to move, you can just kind of grab onto them and slide out with them. And it's insane. Like you get chest deep, you let go. This animal that is like 800 to 1,000 pounds is just cruising off. And it's just like this whole like gentle giant. I don't even know how to explain it, but tiger sharks are my favorite for sure.
Yeah, and the mouth on the tiger shark, those teeth are the most amazing looking teeth. The way that they're serrated and the way that they bend like a fish hook, and it's just a absolute apex predator, highly apex predator. But like you were saying, Dylan, the way they're just not in a hurry. They just they're not real worried about anything. They're just there, and they're there, and no, they're the boss. They know they are the boss. So we got a bunch of different questions. I'm going to ask you, Blaine, how many different species of sharks could we actually think that we might encounter if we went fishing? What's the number?
It just depends on the time of year. It switches from wintertime to summertime and spring and stuff like that. So in the summertime, let's see, there are blacktip sharks, bull sharks, tiger sharks, hammerheads, black nose sharks, Atlantic shark nose sharks. So in the summertime, I'd say about 7 species. And in the wintertime, I'd say about 4 species.
Okay. And what's the most common shark you're going to probably catch?
I would say most common for summertime is bull sharks, and that goes with spring
Bull
and fall
shark.
as well. And then once you move into the wintertime, sandbar shark is going to be the number one that you see.
So the bull shark, he's known as the number one man eater in the world. The bull shark is if you guys research it and go look it up after the show, bull shark's the number one shark that's going to eat a person. If there's going to be a shark, and that's, you guys are catching
still
a
here,
lot of
baby.
those.
We're still here, baby.
What's their mouth look like? What does that mouth look like in comparison to the tiger or the white shark? Is it like the sandbar shark with just teeth going every which way?
Yeah, they're not a very symmetrical jaw, but they are aesthetically pleasing. Like sandbars, their teeth are a little jagged and missing and stuff, but nothing will ever compare to a white shark or a mako shark or a tiger shark for sure.
Now, can you keep the tigers too?
Not here in Florida, you cannot.
They're good. That's good. So no one's saying, hey, all I ever wanted on a tiger, I didn't want the shark. I just wanted his face.
Yeah.
I know it's horrible to say. I know it's gonna make a lot of people mad, but if you guys know that that's got to have the best of all the jaws of all the sharks, that's going to be the most beautiful set of jaws. And I know it sucks to think about that, but if you were to have a set of jaws, I've had mako shark jaws, hammerhead shark jaws, never got a white shark jaw, but I would love to have maybe buy a set of jaws somewhere. But that tiger shark jaw, gang, when you see it, after we're done with the show today and you Google it, you'll go, okay, I understand what Dave's saying. It is an unbelievable shark mouth. That face is so cool. And the way that face looks, unlike any other shark, that nose being blunt off, like baby. That changes everything. It kind of changes the way you go about getting the hook out, huh?
It's a little bit easier.
Because it's flat. You know, it's not way tucked back past the pointy nose. It's kind of cool. Well, we got a few more minutes here. So why don't you guys, either one of you, whoever wants to take this, go over how everyone can get a hold of you, find you on all the different channels, and what you guys got going on.
As far as like social media goes, it's really easy. Coastal Worldwide on everything. The logo looks something like this. And we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, and we're on Facebook. As far as booking goes, on all of those social media platforms, there's a link in our bio to the website, but it's coastal-worldwide.com. All the information for trip pricing and stuff like that is on there. And then, we're over in Pensacola, Florida. We service towns on either side of us to the east or the west. And we can get you guys set up for a 6, 8, or 12-hour trip. Like I said, I'm telling you, March and April is lights out. March is pretty filled up, so we're like only going to take a few more trips because we can't work 30 days out of the month. So we've got about 10, 12 trips now. We're only going to take about 17, and then that kind of pushes like where Blaine and I lose our minds a little bit. But April only has like 5 or 6 trips right now, so we've got some bookings in April to go over. It's just incredible, man. I think it's a once in a lifetime experience, and we've never had a customer come catch a shark and be like, that sucked. So that's an easy sell right there.
Yeah, and a lot of people were asking, are you going to be we have a huge trade show
baby.
In 13 days, the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Festival. I know that's a big deal. You guys aren't going to make it out for that. I know you guys will be at ICAST, though, right?
We were trying to make it work this year because we wanted to go last year with Okuma, and then Deckhand Sports talked to us this year and was like, can you guys go? And I was just like, we just can't right now. Our yellowfin tuna season right here is blowing up, and it's insane, giant 200-pound yellowfin tuna, and then the shark fishing trips are about to take off. So we're locked and strapped in here at home. But one day I want to make it out there because that show's incredible, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And gang, when they're telling you they're super busy, listen, I've been trying to get you guys on the show, and you can tell everybody we talk a lot. We've been trying to get them on the show. These guys are so dang busy, and then they'll say they're good. I don't ever want to take money out of their mouths, and they'll say they're good, and then a couple days later they'll go, Dave, we're not going to be able to make it. We got a trip, and I would never tell you not to do a trip to come on my silly podcast.
Oh, we love the podcast. I can't not give somebody an experience on the beach, dude. It's like our addiction, so it's hard to pass that stuff up. The money comes and goes, but those trips are awesome, man.
Yeah, and you guys do a great job. And I hope that every single person watching the show today gets a chance to go check you guys out and look at your Instagram or Facebook or YouTube channel. Once you
sure, man.
check that out, wherever you're at, you're going to make a lifetime trip and you're going to go down there and check these guys out. Let them know you saw them here on your saltwater guide. Give them a call, talk to them, figure out when you can get on the Skidooly. Like I tell you guys with Justin, now that these guys have been on the show again, their phone's going to ring off the hook. You're going to have to book sooner than later. This could be a destination vacation to go try this off the beach once. And these guys can tell you where you want to stay
Sure.
and all the questions that you're going to have to ask. Because when you got guys like Blaine and Dylan, this is where they live. So you don't want to try to figure out where should I stay when I can
Yep.
just call them up and talk to them and get in the loop. They're just like me. They're going to answer your calls. They're going to be there for you. And you're going to have the trip of a lifetime. Plus, they're going to tell you, no, this is not the time to go. They're not going to, they don't want you to have a bad trip. And I'm going to end with this. Tim Ogilvy, or somebody was asking me, do we do land-based? Oh, Robert. No, we can't do land-based shark fishing in Southern California. Why? Because we have waves. When you watch these guys, when you watch what they're doing, it is like a lake most of the time down there where they're fishing at. So when they put their bait down on the bottom, that bait's pretty much there. It can set, like Dylan was saying, the bait will get eaten up by crabs in and out because it doesn't move.
Yeah.
It's stationary. You go out on a kayak in Dana Point or Oceanside, first of all, you're going to practically almost get killed trying to paddle out there with a bait in there. You're going to drop it in the water before you get back to the rod. It's going to be back on the beach because the waves are going to push it on the beach. So it doesn't work in Southern California. Plus, we don't have the animals that they have. We don't have the different types of big sharks right on the sand like that. So that's why it wouldn't work here. But hey, you guys, thank you so much for being
Dave.
on the show.
Yeah,
It's so
thank you,
cool to
Dave.
be with you guys, and I'll see you in Florida. I will be with Promar again, and we'll be hanging out at the booth. Elliot and I'll come by. We'll make a bunch of
we'll
cool
be at
videos
Okuma,
again.
man. So we'll see you at ICAST for sure, Dave.
Thank you guys very much. Elliot, thanks for a great show. Everybody that wished me a happy birthday, thank you very much. And if you guys feel it in your heart and you have a chance, please hit that GoFundMe with Justin. It's super important. We want to get that. We want to help out our buddy Justin. He's hurting. We need to help him out. Any amount of money will help. $1, $5, anything you can do. We're looking for 14 grand to get him back out on the water. Remember, he's just a family man. We all know him and we all appreciate him. So try to help Justin out if you can. Thank you all very much for watching the show today. Dave Farron at Deckhand Sports. I'll see you at the PCS show. Gang, if you show up wearing one of my shirts, Dave's going to give you a free hat. I'll see you at the show.
You.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.